A friend of mine, Greg Lounsberry of Lounsberry Pedals, sent me this, one of his creations called a Wurly grinder. Wurly meaning Wurlitzer electric piano, an old electromechanical device, and he knew I had an old Wurly. So he sent me this, and it sounds great. It does just what it should do. It makes a Wurlitzer have that cool distortion or overdrive effect. But it got me thinking, well, if it'll work for a real Wurly, not everyone has one, right? They're all about 40 years old by now. Will it work for a sample library? Well, we just happen to have a sample library called Wurly Studio. And, well, Wurly Studio has different mic setups and processors. But I thought, well, what if we put it out into the real world, into this overdrive effect, the Wurly grinder, and then recorded the result. It's not unlike many recording studios. Engineers would take an already recorded guitar track, send the output out to an amplifier, and then mic that amplifier and record that. As they play the tape, they'll record the new track along with it. It's called reamping. So we can do the same kind of thing. You can kind of think outside the box. We're so used to just, having our effects built in with, DSP that we don't often think about sending them outside and into the real world and then recording them. But that's what we've done. So in this case, I'm using the direct out in Wurly Studio, sending it out of one of the outputs on my audio interface into the Wurly grinder, and out of the Wurly grinder back into the system. So the controls on the Wurly grinder are pretty simple. There's a level control, and there's a overdrive control, and then the on and off switch. So now, with it off, you get just a straight Wurly sound. All right, turn the Wurly grinder on, and now you can add more distortion. I'll bring the volume down a little bit just to... Now, Greg tried to explain this to me, but the whole idea behind the Wurly grinder is to give you a nice, warm distortion, but still when you play a chord, you can still make out that it's, I'm playing a G major. You can still hear the notes in the chords, and that's the magic of the Wurly grinder. So I'm going to go ahead and play a sequence, which is one of our original demos from Wurly Studio, and let's run it through the Wurly grinder. And you can do this with any track. Tracks you've already recorded, and you can just send the output out to an external effect and bring it right back in and record it, as long as you have separate outputs on your interface to do that. Okay, now I'm going to run a sequence and mess with the controls a little bit while it's playing. There you go, Wurly grinder and Wurly Studio.